see you. Can you hear me, Bosaya? I think there's something wrong. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. You're welcome. You're welcome. Good to see you. Bosaya is one of Mr. Adesina. Bosaya is one of our great diasporans here in the United Kingdom.
Okay, good.
I think he's the governor of what? You're governor of something, Bosaya.
I'm a governor. I'm the first and only black governor of a high security prison in England. Yes.
Okay.
So, Mr. Adesina will have a governor outside Nigeria. So I think we. So good to see you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody.
Apart from the 37 state governors, we have the governor of Central Bank, and we have another governor there.
Another governor here. So you're welcome, everybody. Today is a very special day because it's a very long time that I've actually had this sort of interaction with Mr. Femi Adesina. And let me just say, you're welcome, Enobong Jack. You're welcome. I see Enobong Jack. I see Johnson, Udi Achibong. You're welcome. I may not be able to say welcome to everybody because of the number of people that might come in here, but just know that you're recognized. Let me just first of all thank Mr. Adesina for just giving us this wonderful opportunity. And I want to be honest with some of you out there that I don't know of any special advisor to any president that has made himself available like Mr. Adesina. And I know why I'm saying this because I hope Ruben Abati gets to watch this, because I remember several times I wanted Ruben Abati to have something like this, and he kept telling me, yes, we will do it, barrister, and we ended up not doing it. And no matter how we feel about this government, one thing I know for sure is that this is one government that makes itself available and is ready to engage every time with the people. And so today, okay, if you're listening to me out there today is a good time for you to speak, to talk, to come up with creative ideas and suggestions and solutions to where Nigeria is at the moment. Today is not a day to blame. Today is not a day to complain. Today is not a day to heap your frustration on Mr. Femi Adesina. Femi Adesina is just one person. He's just one individual. And I know Femi Adesina represents the federal government right now, but he's just one individual, okay? So today we are going to be different, all right? We are going to come up with solutions. And I can tell you something. This is one man I know that has the ears of Mr. President, because he's not a politician. I know he works with politicians, but Femi Adesina is not a politician. I've interacted with him long enough to know he doesn't think like a politician and doesn't act like a politician. And so I believe that he's the sort of person that Mr. President will confide in, because he would know that Mr. Adesina is coming from a very dispassionate point of view. And that's why I feel he's the right person for us to talk to. He's the right person for us to engage with. Okay. You're welcome, Stephen Adekunle. You're welcome. Now, let me just say this before we start, all right? Let me just lay the ground rules. Now, the ground rules is I'm going to give each person an opportunity. Now, when you want to speak, just go to the chat. When you want to speak, just go to the chat and just put your hand up. You know, if you go to the chat, you'll see some icons. There's one that says hand up. Once you put your hand up, I'll know that you want to say something, and I'll give you the floor. to speak. Now, please, the good thing about Zoom is that you can mute people. That means you can. I see Ojuku, someone looking like Ojuku in our meeting. Dr. Chi, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Ikide.
Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Mr. Adesina, okay, are you there? Just wanted to introduce Dr. Chibi to you. So let me go on. So today, okay, you're back. Let me just say that Dr. Chidi was one of our governorship candidates in 2019. So he's here with us. And I think he contested, was it Anambra?
No, that was Enugu State.
Enugu State was one of the governorship candidates for Enugu State. You're welcome, sir. So you're welcome, Regina. We're waiting for you. You're welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me, and may I say good morning to Mr. Femi Adesina.
Regina, how are those your girls who look like your sisters? Eh?
Fine. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. So today, and the good thing about Zoom is this. I've given us the ground rules. The ground rules is today is the day for us to speak and to come up with creative suggestions, creative solutions, okay? Please, today is not a day for us to blame and complain. I want to make that clear. No blaming, no complaining. We have been blaming and complaining the last 60 years and it's not gotten us anywhere. Blaming and complaining is what caused the 1966 coup, January 1966 coup, and then the retaliation in July of that year and the Civil War. We've always been blaming. And I think it's time for us to leave the blaming and to be like other nations, to be patriotic. Listen, we are never going to have a perfect government because government is made up of people and people are not perfect, just as you are not perfect, okay? And I am not perfect, totally perfect, all right? We are always going to have a situation where we're going to have imperfect people running our government. And all governors, presidents are just as fallible as us. But what we can do, Nigerians, today, Nigerians, is to be like other nations, to be patriotic, to say, this is our Nigeria. This is my country. This is my nation. You know, this is an opportunity for me to put forward a solution, to come up with a creative idea for Mr. Adesina during the week to sit down with Mr. President and say, look, I was with some people during the weekend and listen, I have some suggestions, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It can happen, all right? And so this is why when we have someone like this, let's not do what we're doing on social media. After this, we can go back to social media and complain and blame and all that. But yes, we can do that after this. But when we are here, let us seize the opportunity we have. Let us seize the opportunity. Let us not waste it. And let's come up with ideas for Mr. Adesina. So here's how we're going to start today, okay? What I did today was I divided us into 3 regions. Okay? The North, the West, and the East, South, all right? Now, what I wanted representatives from those regions to speak. Unfortunately, I was not able to get someone from the North. For all my friends from the North, I'd invited them. I said to them, look, we need you here. But I think they were a bit hesitant. So the next time we have this meeting, I guarantee we're going to have a Northerner here. So all we have today are just Southerners, but one of them might actually come in later. So this is what we're going to do. Regina Askia is going to represent the South-South-Southeast today, and I'm going to give her 5 minutes to talk about the security situation, because security is what is on everybody's mind at the moment, okay? And then I'm going to, after 5 minutes, I'm going to give that to Busayo. Dada to speak, and he's going to also talk about the Southwest, what's going on in the Southwest. Now, if there's anybody here, maybe you're a northerner, you're from the north and you've just come in, or you are somewhere around the middle belt, I'll give you an opportunity to represent that section of the nation. And, you know, so I'll give each of you 5 minutes each. Then I'll open the floor, all right? But before I open the floor, I'm going to allow Mr. Femi Adesina to also speak. Now, so before we start, all right, I'm going to ask Mr. Femi Adesina, is there anything you want to say before our panelists come forward and speak? Is there anything you want to say to us? Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Barrister, I want to say thank you to you for putting this together. It's an opportunity once again for us to engage. We have done this a number of times in the past. We took a break for a while, and here we are again today. I'm glad you have put this up. I also want to thank all those who are on standby already. Regina, thank you. I remember that you had always been present whenever we did this. Every other person who is there, I also appreciate you. What I would like to say right from the beginning is that these are very challenging times in Nigeria. Very, very challenging. It's almost not as bad as this ever in terms of security. It's like hell suddenly opened up against the country. Insurgency, banditry, kidnapping, abductions, armed robbery, all sorts of criminalities. And it's not just in a region, it's almost around the country. So it is a challenging time. It is a troubling time. We all agree on that. So in our interaction, we don't need to begin to paint scenarios again. We know the scenarios, and the scenarios are bad, very bad. So thank you very much as we engage today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Femi Adesina. And on that note, I'm going to give the floor to ladies first, as we say in Nigeria. I'm going to give the floor to Mrs. Regina Askia-Williams, a 5-minute presentation on what is going on in the South, Southeast, and the Niger Delta in terms of security. Regina, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for having me. And I recognize that I am not on the ground in South Nigeria, but I have a lot of feedback coming in from people I know in that region. So the major security scenarios have already been laid out, so no need to paint them again. But what I hope that we'll talk about today are measures we can take to contain these situations. Now, communities had started helping themselves by building vigilantes, and this vigilantes group worked hand in hand with the police. But what we see is that when a lot of these people are captured, they are let go. So is Mr. Femi Adesina going to address the fact that most of the people that the vigilantes bring to the police are released instead of being persecuted? And I'm going to name a few. Also, what are we going to do about the abductions and rapings? What will the governors be involved in setting up agencies or empowering agencies to work against kidnapping and abductions and rapes, especially in the south of Nigeria? The women are really bearing the brunt of this insecurity in the area. Unemployment is another thing I hope we will talk about today. And then there's a fearsome thing that is going on in Nigeria, which is compounding this security problem. The issue that the situation in Libya, where the head of state has been taken out, and the vacuum created by the absence of Chad, the vacuum created by the death of the leader of the Chadian soldiers and the civil war that is going up there. This is opening Nigeria up around the borders. And we have all these militant people coming in through Nigeria, into the country, creating mayhem on top of the Boko Haram and on top of the kidnappers and whatever is going on. What are we going to do? Is there a war cabinet to address the international security issues? And are the governors being held accountable for the security they're supposed to be providing. So I'm looking forward to discussing this with Dr. Femi Adesina, because a lot of money had been set aside for security. What did the governors, especially the South governors, do with this money? And why are we not feeling the impact from the protection that they're supposed to be giving the people in the area? Also, security and unemployment. I'm looking forward to talking about that. Thank you very much. Am I still on?
Yes, you are, Regina.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yeah, go on, sir.
How do you want us to proceed?
If you're not talking, can you mute? If you are not talking, can you mute your phones, please? Thank you.
So, Barrister, how do you want us to proceed? Is it that I respond to the issues raised by Regina now?
I think that people were going to have 5 minutes to introduce their topics. Atta, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes. What we wanted to do, Mr. Adesina, was to just go to the next person, Busayo Dada. So he will make his presentation, and then you will obviously give an answer. Please, can I just say, if you're here, I can hear some feedback. There's someone's phone that is not, you've not muted your phone. Please, can you mute your Zoom, please? Please, because I can hear some feedback, please. So if there's anybody here and you're from the north, you're anywhere from Kwara up north, please make yourself known, because I would love you to say something about what's going on in your area from the middle belt up north. Okay, Mr. Babafemi Dada, we will give you the floor to make your presentation for the Southwest. The floor is yours, sir.
Okay. Just like Regina, I'm not on floor, but I am a professional in UK, and I spend a lot of time trying to get up to date with what is happening in Nigeria because of my concerns for the country that gave me so much. Now, Mr. Adesina and everybody that is listening in today, I think we've talked about the security issue. I mean, sometimes it's impossible. It is very difficult to talk about the security, to talk without mentioning the security issue. And so Regina mentioned things around the state governors, and actually, this is one of my biggest issues I find in Nigeria, and I talk about Nigeria, is that we need to make governors more responsible and own up to their responsibility about security. It cannot just be federal government. But in addition, I think, how do we, as a country, recognize that it's not just government that provides security? Every citizen has to be involved in security. You know, I work within the security criminal justice system, and I work in UK, so I understand the criminal justice system in UK because I have to deal with MI5 and everybody else. And actually, there is something about going onto the streets, and an average person knows about security, knows what to look for. So there is an issue of education. How do we, as a country, deal with the issue of the population explosion going on in Nigeria? Nigeria is absolutely broke. Whether we like it or not, Nigeria is broke. We're procreating at a rate that Nigeria cannot maintain in the next few years. The man that is proud to have 27 children today, that is 27 youths and adults that might be unemployed. The explosion of the educational society, educational reform. There needs to be educational reform. Everyone is going to university with no employment available. How do we actually say, how do we as a society actually say, you don't need to go to university to achieve, because there are different things that can happen in your lives. There are people leading this country that have never gone past A levels. Okay, how do we harness our skills? How do we stop talking about being negative and talk about the skills and what we bring to the table? And how do we deal with the issue of drugs? You know, drug is becoming a big issue in Nigeria. And part of that is because of hunger and despair and lack of opportunities. But we have to deal with things holistically. But also, how do we get the media to be responsible? As far as I'm concerned, we have a very, very irresponsible media in Nigeria, where they promote disunity rather than unity. How do we get them to understand that patriotism starts from the message you put out? Because there are a lot of people making their mind up based on what they hear, not what they know. How do we get people starting to ask questions? And actually, we have a mind, and our mind allows us the opportunity to challenge the information we get. But most importantly, agriculture, alternative to oil. How do we now start thinking about this? And also governance from every level. I'm very interested to see hear people's views about Nigeria, because we love it. We all love Nigeria. I wasn't born in Nigeria, but I grew up in Nigeria. I'm a Yoruba man. But I was lucky to go to FGC Korekpene. I was lucky to be University of Calabar, and I was lucky to have my NYSC in Port Harcourt. And I spent a lot of time in the north with my dad, traveling all over the north. So I can say I am in Nigeria, and I love Nigeria, and I will never, never want to make it split. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity, Atta, and Mr. Adesina for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Baba Femi? Is the name Baba Femi Dada or Busayo Dada? I had both.
Well, my father is Baba Femi. I'm Baba Femi Oluwa Busayo. You can't call me and my dad the same. But my official name, obviously, my first name is Baba Femi, because in this country, you have to go by a real,
Okay.
But I am Busayo to everybody.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Busayo. That's a wonderful presentation you made. And so, Mr. Femi Adesina will reply to Regina Askia. She talked about unemployment. She talked about why are bandits set free in Nigeria? Why are they not tried in our courts? She also talked about rape and the death of the Chadian head of state and how that is affecting Nigeria and what the federal government is doing to secure our borders between Nigeria and Chad. Busayo Dada talked about educational reform, and I completely agree with him, because, in fact, I think it was the Minister for Information who said that part of the problem we're having in Nigeria is because Nigeria jettisoned an educational plan that had been put in place under Muritala Mohammed to give free and compulsory education to the North. And that it is this Northerners that have not been in school and were not educated that are now the bandits, that are now the termites that are giving Nigeria the problems we have today. And of course, he talked about agriculture. He said, what is the federal government doing about agriculture, knowing that that is actually a gift that this nation has been endowed with? So much land, so much resources, but we're not doing too much about it. We're still depending on oil. So thank you very much. I'll give you the floor now, Mr. Femi Adesina, and then I'll open the floor to our participants. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very, very much. I want to thank Regina and Mr. Dada for these points they have raised. It shows that though they are diaspora, but they are very much at home with what is happening back home in Nigeria. Let me start with issues of people being arrested and released. If that is actually happening that way, and I suspect that there's something like that, then it's very bad. But it is not an executive issue. It is a judiciary issue. It's a judiciary issue. I think we need to all recognize and accept that Nigeria is in an emergency. Therefore, there must be special laws created to deal with the emergency. If we still will use the standard way, rule of law, you cannot hold anybody more than 48 hours, he must be charged, and when you charge him, is is due for bail and all that, then it will be a problem. Because that is what will happen. If they arrest people and the law says maximum you can hold them is 48 hours, you admit them to bail. After that, the cases may not come up in the next 6-8 months, and they are just there. While they are out there roaming free, they go to commit more crime. Therefore, it's a question of law and order. It's a judicial matter. It's not an executive matter. But it would be very good if the judiciary looks at this and classifies some cases, maybe as not being admissible for bail or something. I don't know how they will do it. But then, you know, the human rights community will start to shout again if you now hold them and you don't admit them to bail. And yet, these are people who commit heinous crimes. You admit them to bail again, and then they go back. Look at what happened about a week ago. The mastermind of the Kankara abduction, 300 students abducted from Kankara. You know, after that saga, he repented, he was reabsorbed into society, and then suddenly one day he said, no, he was going back into the forest. And truly, he went back, and within 2 days of going back, he was killed. So all these are showing us that the kind of legal system we run may not be working for the emergencies we have in Nigeria now. But it's not a purely executive thing. Between the legislature and the judiciary, I think they should look into that. Unemployment, very serious. Very, very serious. Yesterday, the president met with the Presidential Economic Advisory Council. And one of the worries of that meeting was the volume of unemployment. It is too high, too high for a country. Yeah. It's not as if all those unemployment was created in the last 1 year, 2, 3, 5 years. Unemployment had always been high in Nigeria. It's just that it's like getting out of hand now. And it's something that government has realized. 2 weeks ago, the Federal Executive Council approved what was called the Poverty and Wealth Creation Policy. The intention is to reduce poverty in the country. The government realizes that there is poverty in the land. There is poverty in the land. There is unemployment in the land. And something is being done about it. Chad situation. Regina first talked about Libya before she changed it to Chad. I think the two are related. Chad itself is being destabilized from Libya. All those who are trying to overrun Chad are coming in from Libya. And our president has said it before, as long as there is a state of flux in Libya, the Sahel region is not safe. Because, see, that region, Burkina Faso, Mauritania, Chad, Niger Republic, Nigeria, all of them have similar problems flowing in from Libya. The volume of illegal arms in the Sahel region today, most of them coming from Chad. You see Boko Haram now, you see sophisticated weapons that they wield. How do they come into the country? Through Libya and then through Chad. But when the Chadian president died about 2-3 weeks ago, the Nigerian foreign minister issued a statement on behalf of Nigeria that Nigeria will do its best to ensure that, along with the African Union, Chad is restabilized, because Chad has implications for Nigeria. If Chad is not restabilized, everything and anything can get into our country. So Nigeria is interested in the situation in Chad. For now, there is some measure of order. At least we have a general who is the son of the dead president, who is an interim leader. That may not have been the best in terms of democracy. But you see, this is a serious issue. Chad needs to be first restabilized. It's a government that will be there for 18 months and it will arrange and organize elections. So Nigeria is involved with Chad now to restabilize that country. And it's in our own enlightened self-interest that we get interested in what is happening in Chad. Our governors, what are they doing? Governors are called the chief security officers of their state. And I agree with Regina, they should do more. They should do more in terms of security stabilization in their various states.
Yes.
They have what you call the security votes. They have, most of them will complain, well, the commissioner of police does not report to us, he reports to the IG. Well, that may not be the best for now, but then learn to work with those people. Our governors should do more to secure their domains. They should do more. Liaise with the military, liaise with the police, liaise with all other law enforcement agents, and secure your domain. It's very important. What we have now in Nigeria is everybody shouts and runs to the federal. It should not always be that way. It should not be that way always. Security is bottom up. Security must start from the communities, to the ward level, to the local government level, to the states, and then escalated to the federal. But you see that at the slightest drop of a hat now, they are calling on federal. No, it should not be so. Security should be bottom up, and we need to go back to that model. We talked about rape and all that. Every criminality is criminality. And unless you begin to punish criminality, there will not be deterrence. It takes me back to the judiciary again. If a rape situation has occurred and you admit the man to bail and he's out there, the case is still running 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and at the end of the day, he gets a slap on the wrist, then there's no deterrence. So we need to look at crime and punishment again. It's going to be between the legislature and the judiciary. Because if the executive begins to dabble into that, they will say, oh, tyranny. Between the legislative and the judiciary, they should look at our laws again so that crime is punished in this country. When crime is punished, it's a deterrent to other people. Yes, Regina.
Thank you, sir. When crime is punished, it would definitely be a deterrent to other people. But do you think that negotiating with terrorists, paying them money, rehabilitating them, and absorbing them into the society is a way of offering deterrent to the people who are looking at this going on and who may try to criminally take advantage of that situation?
Thank you. Maybe you are not abreast with latest developments in that respect. Latest development is that federal government has put down its foot. No negotiation.
Okay.
No negotiation. It was that came out 4, 6, 8 weeks ago. No negotiation. It's not happening. It's not happening. And you know, Kaduna State is also doing the same thing. No negotiation. It's not happening. Okay. Thank you. Let me go to Mr. Dada's points. Mr. Dada says our governors should be more responsible. Very true. Very true. Very true. The situation in which our governors run to the federal should not be the point. You are not just chief security officers of your state in name only. It is not just titles to parade. It is a responsibility. Our governors must be more responsible in their various states. Population explosion is a serious one. It came up yesterday at the meeting between the president and the Presidential Economic Advisory Council. Population is an issue in Nigeria. 200 million now. And by 2050, it's projected that Nigeria will be up to 230, 240 million. It is serious. It is serious. But you also know that in this country, issues of population are also political. If you begin to say, okay, one man 4 children. How then do you calculate the man whose religion allows him to have 4 wives? Yeah? And the one whose religion says, no, it is just 1 wife. So it's an emotive issue. It's an issue that has to do with religion, and it's an emotive issue. But I think there should be a lot of suasion in this country that we need to look at our population. For instance, it is said that before the GDP can have impact on Nigerians, we must grow at 7% minimum compared to our population. How much are we growing now? We grew about 1.9%. We are below 2%. Yes, we are below 2% in growth. And the minimum we need is 7%. You see that is still a far cry to our population. So we need to do something about our population in Nigeria. Drugs and drugs, a big issue in Nigeria. Very, very much so. Very, very much so. It's an epidemic. But you recall that about 2-3 years ago, the president set up what was called PASEDA. PASEDA was Presidential Action Committee Against Drug Elimination, against drug or something, PASEDA. And who headed it? That person was Brigadier General Buba Marwa, former Lagos State Military Administrator. He headed that committee. I was there when he submitted his report to the president, and the picture he painted of the hard drug situation in Nigeria was really frightening. Frightening. And one good development is that that same General Marwa now has the NDLEA, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. You will see that in the past 6 months since he got into NDLEA, it's like we hadn't heard that agency was there. That agency now has impounded drugs worth over 2 billion naira. What over 2 billion? Yesterday, it's still on the news today, they still arrested somebody who was on a flight to Italy and who excreted so much drug.
Yeah.
So you begin to ask yourself, what had been happening before in that sector? But now we know that something is happening.
Sorry, can I say something about that?
Yes.
There is an issue of concentrating too much on just finding the drugs. There has to be education, and there's got to be treatment, because the reality is the cost of people taking drugs is a bigger impact on the society, more than, well, it's good to stop what you can stop. The reality is, and I work, like I said, in the criminal justice system to understand the drug issue all over the world, is you're only able to catch about 5 to 10% of the drugs that come into your society. And so education has got to be the matter, and also treatment. If you don't do that, then there will always be the demand for the drugs. So you've mentioned unemployment, you've mentioned a lot of those things. Those, criminality, all those things are a fuel for drugs. I'm sorry to comment on that.
Yes, I agree with you completely. So that shows you that it must be holistic. It must be holistic. It's good to catch the couriers, it's good to catch the barons, but it must even go down. It is not only heroin and cocaine that they use in Nigeria. There are cheaper drugs. Marijuana, for instance, is cheap and readily available. They go to sniff pens. They use all kind of cheap things that turn their minds. So I believe that a lot of education is necessary. That is why it is good that a man who had been appointed to study the drug problem in Nigeria has now been appointed chairman of the NDLEA. So I believe that it is going to go just beyond arresting the couriers and the barons. You said, how can we make our media more responsible? Big issue. Big issue. Because that is my industry. That is my industry. But if you ask me, the media is a big part of the country's problem. It's a big part of the country's problems. It's my industry. I'm a professional there. I'm just on sabbatical serving the president. I'll go back to that same industry. But if you ask me, the media is a problem to our country. The kind of things our media will publish, the kind of things they will circulate is really, really terrible. At times, the way the media will even celebrate criminality, celebrate the successes of the insurgents, celebrate the successes of the bandits, you begin to wonder on whose side they are. I think it is very important that the Nigerian media gets to be more responsible, gets to be more nationalistic. We're not talking of muzzling the media. There is also self-censorship within the media. I think the media needs to wisen up to that and know that they need to be more responsible in the things they publish. Agriculture. Oh, if there is a success area this government can talk about, agriculture is one of it. Agriculture is one of it. We went into recession in 2020, COVID-induced. We were in it for just one quarter. What was responsible for that short stay in recession? Agriculture was a big part of it. Agriculture was a big part of it. As at this time last year, all international borders were locked down. If you wanted to import food, you couldn't import. You didn't even have money for the importation. But if you had money, how would you import when all international borders were locked down? But Nigeria survived with 200 million people. Why? Because a lot of focus had also been placed on agriculture since 2016, when President Buhari told Nigerians, return to the land. And he put his money where his mouth was. He funded agriculture through the Central Bank of Nigeria. So today, all types of grains, rice, maize, beans, all sorts of grains, Nigeria imports none. Nigeria imports none. There is self-sufficiency in this country, particularly in the area of grains. If we didn't have that, there would have been severe trouble in Nigeria during COVID. But a lot has been done on agric, and a lot more will still be done. At the meeting yesterday with the Presidential Economic Advisory Council, one of the points of discussion was the need to have our irrigation dams working around the country so that there can be all year-round farming. What we have in Nigeria largely is rain-fed farming. Rain-fed farming, which lasts for just about 6-7 months. And when the rain stops, there is an issue. But if you get all these irrigation dams working, they said there are 240 irrigation dams in this country. But all of them had been moribund. So the president promised that they will look into all these irrigation dams, get them working so that there can be year-round farming. That would be a good development. You also talked about education reforms. Very, very important. Very important. It is crystal clear that the education model that Nigeria runs is not working. It's not working. It was one of the promises made by the APC pre-2019 that there will be education reforms. And I believe that before the end of the administration, they will still come out with a formula on education. The formula we're running now is not working. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Femi Adesina, for that. And I've taken some things which we're going to discuss much later. But I think for me, what was very significant about what you said, and I want to thank you for your honesty. You used a word, you said, or a phrase, you said, Nigeria is in a state of emergency. Nigeria is in a state of emergency. And I wish our state governors could hear this, because it doesn't look as if people are acting and people are governing and people are delivering the dividends of democracy in a state of emergency. So I've taken that as you were speaking. Other things, but later we'll talk about those things. But thank you so much. Now, I've seen some hands up. Now, we have a chap from Plateau State from the north. So I won't take you now, Mr. Johnson. I'm just going to allow one or two people who have their hands up to speak, and then the north will have the floor this afternoon. So I'm going to speak on Dr. Chidi, whose hand has been up for a while. Dr. Chidi, the floor is yours. Thank you very much, sir.
I think somebody's hand was up before me, and unless you think
whose hand was that?
I think Clement Jimbo, was your hand before me?
Yes, my hands were up here.
Please, can I yield to him and speak after?
Thank you very much. That is the spirit. That is the spirit of patriotism. Thank you very much for that. It was your hand I recognized first. I think because of your beard, I can't. I had to recognize you, sir. Okay, Clement Jimbo, over to you. Your question or what you want to say. Please make it short, just within 3 to 4 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ikide, for pulling this through. Thank you for also inviting me to this session. Let me also appreciate Mr. Femi Adesina for obliging to your request to be here so that we can interface and share our thoughts. Thank you very much. Yeah, there is no gainsaying that the challenges that our country has been bedeviled with are all glaring before us. I don't always like to speak about the problems. Rather, I would like to speak about the solution or suggest solutions. The solution to insecurity, sir. I want to share a life experience while growing up. At some point in our life, we all grew up in the street. I recall those moments where when NEPA, as it were that time, brings light, availability of power. All the children will scream and shout, NEPA. And within split of seconds, we will all retire to our different homes, our different houses. And guess what? We cohabit with our family on television. Those that didn't have television will switch to their neighbor's house and stuff like that. The street will literally be empty. We will be occupied with the activities in the family. But where there is no availability of power, so it affects even the upcoming entrepreneurs. Where people cannot concentrate in their maybe barbing salon, for example, hairdressing salon, those that are doing welding, those that are doing all kinds of jobs to keep the body and mind together, don't have power to power these businesses. It calls for concern. This is what leads to all kinds of unholy association, and it leads to all the different challenges that are bedeviling us today. So my suggestion to you, Mr. Femi, which I know you have the ears of our president, is if there is anything the president can do to all what he has already done, is to sit on the availability of power, because every household in Nigeria strives on the availability of power. If that is done by this administration, sir, I can guarantee you that that is what will write this administration name on gold. Then, secondly, sir, I want to mirror this experience. I'm from the south, from Akwa Ibom State precisely. There is an incident that happened a few days ago where a particular graduate who was looking for an employment, her name is Missy Inubong Umori, that was murdered. I sat down and I thought of solution, because they normally say necessity is the mother of invention. Something must be done in our country and in our state in order to stop further killing of such category of people in our nation. I thought of a law that it is time for Nigeria and in our different states to have a new law. What is that law? It is going to be a law that will create an agency of government. It could be a federal government agency, a state government agency, where job opportunities, vacancies from companies, traders, shop owners, all kinds of job openings that they can register with this agency of government. Then this agency of government will now take the responsibility of advertising these job openings for Nigerians and the like to go there and apply. Why? Because if this is done, it's going to narrow down the rate of fake job advertisers. People can now go to an agency that is recognized by the federal government or the state government to know that if they can get a job or secure a job from this website, they can be sure. And if there is anything that happened thereafter, government will have a leeway on how to clamp down or track any perpetrator in this act. Then we talked about agriculture. I want to also suggest that every country that means well for our citizens thrives on the availability of foodstuff. A man that is well fed can think well. In fact, your ability to think well is directly proportional to the diet, the food you take. So, sir, can we propose to the federal government to give a marching orders to all the 36 states in Nigeria, including the FCT, to maybe donate or make available at least 100 hectares of land for cultivation of various crops? Because Nigeria, as we all know, is divided into 6 geopolitical zones. And each of these zones, you will agree with me, has what is called comparative cost in terms of crop production. For example, in the South, we are very good in cassava, we are very good in corn, and all those arable crops. So if we have 100 hectares of land, for example, from each of the states, we are going to have at least 3,600 hectares of land cultivating various crops in Nigeria. And what are we going to do to bring in all the farmers that will do this thing? So look at our NYSC scheme. Every year, all the universities are churning out graduates upon graduates into the NYSC. Can we still say that the tenet, the idea that brought about the NYSC scheme is still viable in Nigeria today? But we can channel this productive youth into agriculture. Every year they go in there. That is actually where you do your NYSC. For one full year you farm, because it is actually what you farm is what you are going to make available for yourself to eat and the rest of Nigeria. So if we do that for the period of 10, 20 years, a lot of our graduates will see the need to refocus their attention from the so-called white-collar job to agriculture. And we can also look on how we can employ, I use the word employment, not appointment now, employ ministers for agriculture. Let there be a minister for each of the geopolitical zones. Let them supersede each of these zones, which comprises about 6 states, and see to it that every farming season that this state, this very particular zone, has a maximum crop production in whatsoever they need to leverage on to produce. And this will massively make food availability available. I'm saying this with example. For example, sir, in Akwa Ibom State where I stay, beside what I do, I'm also a poultry farmer. When we started poultry farming business, we bought a bag of feed, which is about 25 kilograms, for about 2,200 naira. But right now, within the space of 6 months,
you start rounding up.
To 6,200 per bags. And how do you cope with that? A lot of my likes who were in this industry have gone elsewhere looking for what else to do. So this further has given birth to rising increase in unemployment that we are trying to cope. So if we can have massive availability of food products, which is maize, we can curb this and put it at the barest minimum. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Adesina, for indulging me. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Clement Jimbo. I think you've come up with incredible creative ideas there. And I think you've just blown us away. I mean, that issue about having a job agency where that job agency validates every vacancy in Nigeria so that people don't go to this food is ready, job agencies, and get themselves into trouble. So that is actually something that can be done. Agriculture, thank you so much. Yes, we can look at how we can reinvest in our agriculture and use the corpus, the NYC, to till the land afresh, and so that agriculture does not just become a subsidiary industry, it actually becomes the mainstay of Nigeria. And, I keep reminding us, let us not forget that our very flag, green, white, green, that symbol was because at that time in the 50s and 60s, Nigeria was one of the first 5 great agricultural nations in the world. We still have the same land, the same landmass. We still have the same landmass. We still have the same nutrients in the land. In fact, I was reading a research paper the other day from Harvard, and it said Mambila Plateau alone can feed the entire world. That is what we have in Nigeria. So that is an incredible suggestion you've made. Maybe Mr. Femi Adesina might want to respond to what you've said, and then I'll go to Dr. Chidi.
Thank you, Mr. Jimbo. They are very seminal thoughts you're giving us there. Yes, power availability. Nothing we can do without that. A country will not go far in this age without power. This government has tried so much to crack the power problem. It is not done yet. There are successes at times. The government inherited about 2,600 megawatts of power. It increased it to 5,000. But at times you see we have 5,000, we're heading towards 6,000, and suddenly everything collapses again and we go back to 2,000, and then we begin to build again and again. It's a problem with power. And that was why when Angela Merkel, the German Prime Minister, visited Nigeria, the president discussed with her, how can you help us with power? And Angela Merkel invited the delegation from Nigeria, brokered a meeting with Siemens of Germany. And we have an MOU with Siemens of Germany now, in which incremental power is going to be provided. I think the first target is 10,000 megawatts by the end of this year. 10,000 megawatts. By the end of 2022, it will have gone up to 15 megawatts. And by 2023, 2024, we will have up to 25,000 megawatts. The arrangement with Siemens will afford us 25,000 megawatts by 2024. I pray it works. It's a beginning point for Nigeria. This country has never had anything above 5,000 megawatts. Not at any time in its history. Not at any time in its history. So if the arrangement with Siemens will give us 25,000 megawatts by 2024, I think that's a good development. And other governments can build on that arrangement till Nigeria gets to where she is going. I think South Africa, with a population of 45 million people, has about 50 million megawatts of electricity. Nigeria, with 200 million people, we are struggling at 5,000 megawatts. So power must be given in this country. And all stops are being pulled out to ensure that this happens. I pray it does. That in Hamburg, very sad. Very, very sad. It's an evil act. But you see, there is no society without criminality. There is no society without criminality. It didn't happen just because it was Akwa Ibom or just because it was Nigeria. It can happen anywhere. There are deviants everywhere in the world. But then, yes, job agencies, very good, very good. And it's not unlikely that we have things like that in our books. I remember we used to have National Directorate of Employment. what will be the job of that directorate other than to coordinate vacancies nationwide and make them available to those looking for jobs, and then train people in handiworks and all that. I think it's a viable alternative that has been proffered. I'll discuss this with the Minister for Labor and Employment, so that if we don't have job agencies, he can think of creating them, or we have those that are dormant, he can then activate them, so that we'll have people like Inyobo Umore being saved from deviance in the society. The last point was on agric. Agric, he said a lot on agric, but the issue about agric in Nigeria is that agric is in the concurrent list under the Nigerian Constitution. Nothing stops state governments from doing what Mr. Jimbo has proffered. Because under the Constitution, agriculture is on the concurrent list. In fact, states have more responsibility because the federal government does not have an inch of soil anywhere. Federal government does not have an inch of soil anywhere in the country. All lands are vested in the states and in the local governments. So there is nothing stopping the states from doing what he has preferred. Absolutely nothing. And I think if our states begin to do this, they begin to have largest hectares of land. There were farm settlements in the First Republic, particularly as championed by Femi Adesina in the Western region. Why can't we bring back the idea of farm settlements in local governments, in states? It's not a federal government matter as small as it is of states and local governments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Femi Adesina, for that response to Mr. Clement Jimbo. And I'm going to give the floor to Dr. Chidi to speak. The floor is yours, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Atta. I'm going to try to control the way I feel and be able to present my point very, very well. I really commend you for taking this risk to bring me on your program, knowing who I am. I really must commend you. And I wasn't always like this. I'm not a member of any military establishment. I'm not a soldier. But in a situation in a country where we've become helpless, defenseless, almost at a point of helplessness, it has become necessary that we begin to become a voice for the people. So I am going to speak in my capacity as someone who represents the office of the citizen, as someone who is, Regina Asker, I think, is one of our leaders. Mr. Femi Adesina, you have a job. By the way, some people think I'm not able to talk the way I'm talking right now, but I am. I'm able to engage in a civil manner. I want to thank you for being part of this discussion. And you must also be willing to be flexible when I sound in a way that might make you not to like me. I see you as somebody who has a job to do. And your job as the presidency is what it is, a job. But sometimes I worry, and today Atta has said we're here to look for solutions, so I'm going to try, even though a lot of times we've been trying to blame and try to defend or sell ideas. I thought we came here just for solutions. Mr. Adesina, I worry what becomes of, there are two additionals I try to see. The Mr. Adesina who has a job as someone as the presidency, and the Mr. Adesina that we knew before and who is going to also be Mr. Adesina after the job. So I worry how we're going to try to reconcile that, oh, you were doing a job and now this is me, Adesina, like you said, who has to come back and become a member of the press community. When somebody takes a job as the president of a country, or when a group of people take a job to be in the leadership of a country like Nigeria, they came knowing fully well what was on ground. There is absolutely no room, no excuse for somebody to make excuses. There is nothing like we are trying. It is not acceptable. So my solution at this point, so that I try to walk along the lines of why we're here, is that and my solution is something I think you may not be able to do. Because if we really want to speak to truth, then just like you have said that these are the worst times in our country, we never had it this bad. So when a group of people or when a leadership discovers that they came in to solve a problem and they're not able to solve that problem, it is obvious to everybody, you, me, all of us, that leadership should resign. That is my number one solution. You, Mr. Adesina, Mr. President, the presidency, APC should just resign, because you are at a point where you know very well that you are not able to do the job. I don't want to go into the nitty-gritty of who is responsible, who is supposed to be. It is very bad for all of us. That is my number one solution. Let me also tell Mr. Babafemi that there is nobody more patriotic than these citizens that you find in Nigeria. Nigeria at a time was regarded as the happiest nation in the world. I will not take it from anybody to stand here and load it over the same citizens who are already suffering everything. You want to know how patriotic people in Nigeria are? Go and watch us play football match. Any problem, it is the problem of the country that we belong in. God damn it. Do you know how much?
Damn it, you're part of the problem. You are part of the problem. With what you just said, you are part of the problem.
Let him speak, please. Let him speak. Let him speak. Let him speak.
Am I covered, Atta?
Let him speak.
Just let him speak.
Atta, can I go on?
Dr. Chidi, we already established ground rules before we started.
All right. Hello, can you hear me?
Atta, can I finish?
Can you hear me?
Am I covered? No, Atta, you need to unmute yourself.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay.
All right. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Can I finish? I was interrupted by Mr. Babafemi.
Yes. I was just about to say that. Please, gentlemen. There was a reason why I laid those ground rules, because I know that we're very passionate people, passionate people, and I know that once we start speaking, that we can speak in such a way that, what happens in the village, you speak and then one person says, you keep quiet, sit down. You are the one that took the calabash that woman's house. No, we don't, we don't want that afternoon. Yeah, we don't want that this afternoon. So please, no interruptions, please allow the person to finish. Secondly, Mr. Dr. Chidi, you used a swear word. Please, just calm down. Just calm down. I know how you feel. We've had this discussion before in private, both of us, and I can see you with your beret and your military uniform and all that. Just take it easy. Just say what you need to say, and Mr. Adesina will reply you. Just take it easy, sir. Okay? All right. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. You must forgive my passion. So, in the spirit of trying, even though it is difficult, but in the spirit of trying to even talk things over, trying to find a solution, I would want to submit that at this point in time, it is not me or my brother or my sister who we jointly agree are facing this unleashed high level of insecurity, joblessness, and all of those things. We are not the problem. The problem is the leadership, and my solution is that the leadership should resign. Thank you so much.
Can I ask a question? If the leadership resigns, who steps in there? I mean, at this point, we should be suggesting things. We should be giving solutions.
The question is to me. Let me tell you what happened. Atta agreed that we are in an emergency. My sister, Regina Askia, you are a nurse.
Yes.
Desperate times require desperate measures.
But not to jump in the fire.
There is a protocol for an emergency, for triage. Yeah. That is the protocol Nigeria should adopt right now. In a triage, in some cases, you don't begin to say, oh, you're a junior nurse, oh, you're that. But sometimes it is the first responder that takes the job of the doctor and does it. There is a protocol. That's what I'm trying to tell you here. At that point, we don't ask what would happen then. But we are at a point when the leader, the commander, is incapacitated. What he says, a good commander says, oh my goodness, I've been hit by a bullet. I can't take it anymore. I'm giving up my command. You don't ask what happens when he does that. You do it.
Oh, okay. Responsibly. Mr. Adesina,
okay. Mr. Adesina, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, Dr. Chidi, he started by saying that I had a job to do and I was doing a job. I want to correct him there. I don't see what I'm doing as a job. Rather, I see it as a national assignment. Because when this came, I didn't need a job. I didn't need a job. I was comfortable with what I was doing. I didn't want to leave it. In fact, I left it to come into government because it was President Buhari. With somebody else, I would not take it. Because if you are talking of jobs, there are by far less stressful ways of earning a living than coming to serve government. Less stressful ways. So what I'm doing, I don't see it as a job. I see it as a national assignment which I've been called to do and which I'm doing willingly. If it was a job, one, I didn't need one at that time. And then two, if it was a job, there are less stressful ways to earn a living than serving a country like Nigeria. So I just want to establish that. Then two, when you ask the government to resign, Dr. Chidi, I don't want to think you're an anarchist. There are situations in which a government resigns and causes more problem for a country. Look at Libya today. Libya is in a flux, a state of flux. When they took out Gaddafi, they thought they were doing that country some good. See what it has cost. Not just for Libya, for the entire Sahel region in Africa. So I like your radicalism, but I don't think it is well structured. That's my opinion. Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you very much for that response. And thank you, Mr. Chidi. I know you've really controlled yourself, and I must really commend you for that. Hear me? Can you hear me now, please? So let me just thank Mr. Adesina for that response. Thank you very much. And Dr. Chidi, thank you also for being that direct. I think one of the things we want to foster in this group is the ability for us to be honest and sincere. But I also must appreciate Mr. Adesina for giving that response. Let me tell you something. If Mr. President resigns now, which was the point that Askia was trying to put across, there's going to be a vacuum. This will be another Syria. This will be another Iraq. And this will not just affect Nigeria, the whole West African region, right down to Central Africa. I'm telling you that if there's a vacuum in Nigeria, my goodness, it will open this continent. Listen, I know we may not be that, you know, I mean, we have never been like a South Africa or like a Ghana. But let me tell you something. Nigeria is a rock of Africa.
Yeah.
The foundation of this continent rests in Nigeria. If there's a vacuum in Nigeria, my brother, my dear brother, will you leave Canada where you are to come and fight the war in Nigeria? Your relatives will be knocking at your door every second, asking you for a visa to leave Nigeria and come over to Canada. We don't want that in Nigeria. So, Chidi, Dr. Chidi.
Yeah, it will be unfair. It will be unfair to make such statements and not allow me a minute of response. First of all,
Okay.
Femi Adesina called me an anarchist, and I wrote there that I would almost.
I said I didn't want to believe you were an anarchist.
No, I mean, I wrote that you wouldn't say that. Otherwise, I would want to say I don't want to believe you're a terrorist. But that's not why we're here. We don't want to call names. But what I want to say is that, see, I'll just say this and I will let this go on. Atta, just like I told Regina, you know me very well. I don't, it's either it is or it is not. It's either it is Panadol or it is not Panadol. Look, we all know, even Mr. Adesina is under an environment where, unless he wants to say I am lying, he has to be deliberate about his choice of words, his choice of actions, and that's why I called it a job. He misunderstood me. I'm not saying that it's a job. Maybe it's from the environment where I am here. You are working. That's your job right now. What you're doing is a job, and that's what I mean. I don't want you to misunderstand me. And everything you do is tailored towards the job that you're doing. Take it or leave it. And Atta, what I'm trying to say is this. You don't preempt what will happen. You don't tell me that Nigeria will be like Libya. Look, if you have identified that there is something going on, the reason why they cut off somebody's leg when there's gangrene, when there's a cancer on that leg, it's not because they are saying, if they cut off that leg now, how would the guy walk with one leg? No, what people like Regina do is that they cut off your leg. Then they think about how you're going to walk.
Okay, sir. All right. Thank you.
So Regina now cuts people's legs.
Their hands up. Their hands up, Atta. But let me say, you said something, okay. Atta. You said something. You said if Nigeria is destabilized, but we are at the brink of destabilization, and I've still not heard a concrete plan to rein that in. Nigeria is a stabilizing force in that region, but Nigeria is really shaky right now. Insecurity is rife. Are we going to talk about mercenaries? Are we going to have an edit from the president to empower vigilantes, to empower the police, to direct the governors or have them give accountability? Something has to be done, but not resignation. Something has to be done right now to protect the citizens. Otherwise, we're just sitting here and talking and wasting our time. For real.
Oh, that's my solution.
Okay.
You don't have to this is my solution.
Sorry. Let's move on. Let's allow other people speak. But thank you so much, Regina and Dr. Chidi, for that. But let me just say this. When Dr. Femi Adesina was speaking, he was very honest to say something. He said Nigeria is in a state of emergency.
Yes.
And so when someone starts saying that, so what we are here to do is to give a solution.
Yes.
So, like I said, we're not here to blame. And I tell you something, the fact that he has been that honest, we should move this discussion to the next level. Okay, so what solution can we provide?
Yes.
So that's what we should be doing now.
Yes.
So I'm going to give the floor to Mr. Johnson. Between Mr. Johnson and ED1, I think it was Mr. Johnson that you put your hand went up. So Mr. Johnson is from Jos. Mr. Johnson is from Jos, Plateau State. So he's going to say what he needs to say, ask his question. He is representing the North. So we're going to allow Mr. Johnson speak. Mr. Johnson, the floor is yours, sir.
All right, good evening. And thank you so much, Mr. Ikide. Mr. Femi, thank you also. I have listened to you, And I want to comment, I want to appreciate your honesty. I think that is the most important thing. I want to really appreciate your honesty. Having said that, the situation we are right now, just like you said earlier, Mr. Femi, we are at the worst phase. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go.
Yes, go on.
Okay. This is the worst phase of our being together as a country. The security situation here in the north, as a matter of fact, people are practically living in fear. And just like we said, it's not time for us to talk about the problem, but we have to look at the solution. Now, one of the things that really bothers me is the fact that are we really investing enough in intelligence gathering? Most of the problems that we are having are the problems that would have been nipped at the bud. Okay, we are talking about bandits, we are talking about kidnappers. Who are they? What is the link between these people and Boko Haram? You understand? We really need to look at this. For instance, we know that the same people that we are referring to as the bandits, as kidnappers, are actually the same people who are raising money from kidnapping and funding terrorism. So our security agencies need to stand up and really invest more in intelligence gathering. Look at the prices of food that has gone over the ceiling in the country today. Yes, Mr. President has invested so much in agriculture through the CBN and core borrower scheme and other programs. You understand? Yes, we know that. But the truth of the matter is that the common man is hungry. We just can't, we just have to say it the way it is. A man will go to his farm to harvest his rice, like it happens in Lansing South local government area in Plateau State, and then an old man, and then he was kidnapped, and they're asking for a ransom of over 100 million. So in that whole community, how will people then go to the farm to harvest their produce? So these are the problems that we are having. And this is having direct effect on the prices of goods and services, prices of food in the market. So we really need to sit down and are we going to convene a national security summit where we invite ethnic nationalities to sit down and then discuss on how we are going to move forward? Are we going to arm the vigilantes and then give them the go-ahead to shoot these people outside? We need to be honest with ourselves and realize that if we do not stand up now, sir, if we do not stand up now, we will not have tomorrow, we may not have a country. We are at that start point. That is where we are now. Look, Plateau State is a state that can survive on its own without necessarily going to Abuja to beg for money. There are farms, there are farmers, but people can't go to farm anymore, sir. Look at Basta local government area. Look at Rion. The fear of even going to farm, makes people to stay away from farming. And that is why we see what is happening today. So I wouldn't want to, I don't want to bring so much emotions into it. But the truth of the matter is that either we convene a national security summit today, and I'm sorry, let me quickly put this in. the governors, I do realize that most of the things that we are talking about, we readily point to the federal government. The governors are also part of the problem that we are facing today. Sometimes we tend to bring politics into security issues. Security issues are not non-partisan issues. It's an issue that affects everyone. So we should drop politics and then sit down honestly and tell ourselves the truth. So I really want Mr. Femi to please convey this to Mr. President and let him know that we are at that point where we cannot leave our houses anymore, sir. It is that bad. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Johnson. Barrister, can I go ahead?
Yes, please, sir. Please, the floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Johnson. But like we said at the beginning, all these things are given, accepted. You ended painting more of the scenario than advocating and profiling. You talked about a security summit, good, but haven't we had too much talks in this country? We have had many constitutional conferences, we have had national dialogues, I've had so many, and nothing came out of them all. I'm not saying a security summit will not help, it will help. But then what we need goes beyond that now. Practical solutions, and that is why we have this forum, so that we all can share ideas and we can take things that we will bring forward to government. You talked about intelligence gathering. I think I find that very, very important. Very, very important. A great part of the Nigerian problem will be solved if we have more intelligence. If we have more intelligence. And intelligence also, just like security, is bottom up. Our intelligence agencies are there, but if they don't have cooperation, they don't have information, they may be limited. See, even in some areas in the Northeast, it is the local populace who give information to even insurgents to attack our troops. So, you find that the Nigerian himself is part of Nigeria's problem. Dr. Ikide, I hope you hear this. You say we have some of the best patriots in the country. True, but we also have a lot of saboteurs. And in the Northeast, go and see local community that have been protected from insurgents. They are the ones giving information against our troops to Boko Haram. So I agree with you. We need more intelligence gathering, but we need more collaboration. Local communities need to be part of that intelligence gathering, information sharing for our security agencies. Actionable information is very important. If we had more intelligence, better intelligence, these problems, I believe, will be solved in no time. So, Mr. Johnson, I appreciate all that you have said. We know Plateau. Plateau used to be the home of tourism and hospitality. See what Plateau has become. It's a problem in our country today. We need to retrieve this country. And that is why we are here today, to find actionable solutions. Thank you, Mr. Ete.
We need to retrieve this country. I think there is nobody here that would say that Mr. Femi Adesina is not being honest with us. I know that if this was Reuben Abati, he would have done everything to defend Goodluck Jonathan, would have done everything to say, no, the situation is under control. But I'm very grateful that Mr. Femi Adesina has been extremely honest today. So today is a day to give solutions. Please, I know some of you are sending me messages and you want to speak, but I'm going to just go by order. Please just bear with me. ED1, your hand was up. Do you want to say something now? ED1.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, please, your question, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Atta. Thank you very much, Mr. Adesina. My name is Edeta Fangide. I would beg to move away a little bit from insecurity, which we all know it's a problem and a very serious issue at the moment in the country. I think a lot more about economy as well. I think a lot about our economy and where we're going as a nation. So we are aware, and like every one of us in this forum, we're all aware that the world is moving away from oil and gas, and because of issues of decarbonization and the rest, right, and the whole net zero agenda by 2050. Of course, even Joe Biden of the US is actually even considering a movement from 2030, and then the British government here, in the UK, is also even considering like a plan to even move away from fossil fuel as much as possible. Mr. Adesina, I haven't really seen or read a clear-cut roadmap from the government of General Buhari on what Nigeria is doing with this issue of clean energy, renewable energy, and the direction the world is going at the moment. I'm aware, because I'm in the oil industry, I'm aware that that the 2P and 3P reserves values for Nigeria is actually not looking bad. But then there's likely going to be a time where our oil will not sell anywhere. No one will sell oil, where no one will buy the oil, because maybe the cars on the road will all be like electric and all that, or even the consumption and the energy industry will be purely or mainly hydrogen, renewable energy, wind energy, and the rest. What is Nigeria doing? Where are we heading? And what's the plan for the economy of Nigeria when the world moves away from oil and gas, please? And that's number one, please, if you don't mind. And then the second one there also is like a follow-up. I feel so bad that in Obong Moran had to die that way while job hunting. It's really heartbreaking. And then, but I realized that if maybe small-scale industries are like empowered, maybe young chaps that are actually coming out from the university at the moment would be able to step out and get something on for themselves. And there's something like off-grid power generation, which is not very expensive for people to set up. Individuals at very maybe some sort of small-scale businesses, just to generate power for the rural people around the villages and all that, and making out some income out of it. Is your government doing anything to encourage people in terms of grants and loans to be able to empower these people? Again, and finally, programs like this, I believe, will even reduce the number of bandits that we have. This insecurity problem, to me, links up to the economy of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Although I really wonder that the president is from the north, and most of the appointees of the government are from the north, but yet the banditry is heavy in the north. Is it that, is there no link between the office and the people? And is there a way that we can increase or improve these small and medium-scale enterprises to be able to get more people off the bush, to get them out engaged and get them to do some work, and of course to help themselves and the economy, and by extension, insecurity? Thank you very much. My name is Edeta Fangide. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Edet. I am sure you have not quite followed developments in the oil and gas sector in Nigeria, particularly in the last 1 year. A lot has been done on a roadmap for clean energy in Nigeria. There are at least 3 initiatives that the president himself personally commissioned. That the world is going to move away from fossil fuels, and Nigeria realizes that. Fortunately, Nigeria is one of the top gas-producing nations in the world. In fact, we are said to have more gas than we have oil. But over the decades, we have not tapped into our gas deposits. This government has begun a lot. In fact, there is a roadmap on gas in Nigeria now. I'm sure if you just go online and Google it, initiatives on gas initiative in Nigeria, you will get a lot to see. Not less than 3 of such initiatives have been commissioned personally by Mr. President in the past 1 year. Don't forget that Mr. President had been oil minister for 3.25 years in the 70s. So he knows that industry. And he knows that fossil fuels are going out of demand. So he's doing something about it already. And there's a lot in that direction. You talked of off-grid power generation. Nigeria is doing a lot of that now. Captive power. I don't know whether private individuals can do that. I've not seen private individuals do that. I think it's a matter of legislation. I don't think the law allows private individuals to do it. But a lot of captive power is being done. For instance, one has been launched in Idumota in Lagos. One has been launched at Ariara Market. One has been launched in Kano. All done by the Ministry of Power when Minister Fashola was in charge. So Nigeria is looking into off-grid power generation and is providing power in different parts of the country. Even in some universities, you have off-grid power generation. So a lot is being done in that direction. But I am not quite sure whether private individuals are empowered to go into it. I can always confirm that from the Minister of Power later. And then SMEs to get people off the forest and to work. Yes, of course, it's desirable. It's desirable. But like we have said repeatedly today, Nigeria has a crisis. First, the country needs to be restabilized. And after it is restabilized, things like that can be looked into. But I also know that there are initiatives to empower small, medium, and small-scale industries, particularly after COVID. A lot of money has been pumped into that direction. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adesina, for that response. I'm going to give the floor to Imo Ebong, who has been waiting, and then we'll go to Daniel Fagbohu. Imo Ebong, the floor is yours, sir.
Yes, Mr. Adesina. Johnson has already touched on intelligence gathering. I think I'm just wondering why we have a problem gathering information and stopping some of these kidnapping that we have now. We have about, I think we have about 3 intelligence bodies: Defense Intelligence Service, National Intelligence Agency, State Department of I'm just surprised. I mean, like you said, the local people are the ones that supply intelligence to our soldiers. What are they doing? Because I can't believe we don't have field workers in the intelligence service who are out there in the local communities gathering intelligence for our troops. And also, not only with the troops, with the cases of kidnapping within communities all over Nigeria. So I cannot believe, I mean, it's either somebody is sabotaging the effort Nigeria throughout, but in the military, the intelligence services, and even in the government, So the local people, I believe, if we really want to fight this thing, without intelligence, we can't win the war. There's no way we can win the war. Now we've seen the same pattern that Boko Haram, how it started, because in that early days when it was all PDP in power and Jonathan was in power and nobody was criticizing, they were not saying what was going on in the north. And these guys were riding on bikes, going to police station and burning down police and getting removing weapons from there. And now today Boko Haram is it's very big. It had to neutralize the threat they're posing now to the unity of the country. Now we're now seeing the same thing in the not only in the southeast. They've now come down to Akwa Ibom State, because today I just glanced at the paper at Premium Times, and I've seen these early hours of this morning, about 6 or 7 policemen were killed in Akwa Ibom State, somewhere in the local government. I think about 7 in where is it? Somewhere in Imo State. So I find that, and now we're having, because with this we call them unknown. We shouldn't call them unknown. Otherwise, then that's why I keep wondering if we have intelligence in Nigeria, or somebody right in there they're sabotaging the effort, or because we should be able to have these guys get these people, and because I think it's from every look at things, and if you follow the statements of Nnamdi Kanu, it has to do with ESN and this IPOP, so-called IPOP organization, and people are quiet. I spoke to an in-law of mine somewhere in Aba, and I was shocked when he told me that policemen now in Aba and Owerri, they don't dress in their uniforms. Nobody hears about that. I was shocked that policemen are afraid to go out in their uniforms. They get lynched. They get lynched. These guys are all over the place, controlling the place. It talks about gunshot between these guys and our military or police sometimes. So we have a problem if we don't. This issue with intelligence gathering. What is actually the problem with the Department of State Security, that we cannot employ people, even the local people in the rural areas, to work, train them on how to gather intelligence and how to be safe. The military also the same thing with the military. I can't understand why we have a problem now. Now we call it bandits. Why? Who brought the name bandits? Because I don't believe we have anything called bandits are armed robbers. So I can't understand why we call bandits, and then we have Fulani headsmen. I think these are all offshoots of Boko Haram. And then we now have a problem with IPOP and ESN in the south. And now we are keeping quiet today. Nobody is saying anything in the south. In my place, I'm not reading any story about the killing of policemen. That is how it started in the north. No, we didn't hear anything, not until we have a Northerner in power. And now we suddenly found our voice. We now start accusing Buhari. But the killing is going on quietly. Esinudim had their own recently, and the army had to go in and did some work. Now we have killings. They also in River State too. Well, I'm happy. Wike is up, but in my state, the governor hasn't said anything, and we're still, the young people are quiet. All we hear is Buhari this, Buhari that. So this issue with the intelligence, we have to take it seriously, because without that, this country, we can keep saying what we like. Without intelligence, we will not be able to stop the kidnapping, like the school kids that were kidnapped. After, if ransom were paid or not, we should have our troops go in there and neutralize these people. They shouldn't go scot-free and get this money, and they're living. They go and share the money among themselves, and nobody. We're never going to stop kidnapping. We're never going to stop what you call banditry. I don't think it's banditry. I think it's Boko Haram. I don't believe in banditry, all these names, and we keep hiding our head under the sand. It will never go away. So what is the government going to do about it? Secondly, the issue of
Okay, Mr. Morabon, please, you have to round up, because there are other people, and we have only 15. We have only 15 minutes left. We have only 15 minutes left. Please.
Yeah, I wanted to mention of that. It's related to this incident. We have a problem
make it 1 minute, please.
Yeah, with how do we recruit people to work in government? For example, someone like Pachami, the ideas is how did he pass screening if he has extremist views? So that's where I have to end about that. If we really need to address this issue.
All right, thank you very, very much. Now, because we have very limited time left, we have actually just about 12 minutes. I'm going to allow Daniel Fagbohun because his hand has been raised for a while. Daniel Fagbohun, please, the floor is yours. I'm just going to give you 3 minutes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. Unmute. We can't hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, good. Yes.
Good morning, Mr. Atta. Good morning, and good afternoon, good evening. Thanks to Mr. Adesina for accepting the invite to talk with us. I'm not even going to spend up to 3 minutes. I'll make it very quick.
Right.
A lot of people have spoken well, and to me, I'll be very, very direct. Obama said something during his term. He said perception is everything in leadership. It's not exactly what you're doing, but the perception from the public of what you're doing. We need the right tone and the right perception set by the presidency in Nigeria. That's very, very key. And my second point goes to making sure we put the round pegs in the round holes. It's very, very important. It's at the core of competency. It's at the core of performance. It's at the core of sincerity. If there's any solution that we need in Nigeria, it is that. We have the manpower. We have people who can do this job. The last caller talked about the fact that there's a problem with intelligence gathering. Why is there a problem with intelligence gathering? It boils down to putting the round pegs in the round holes. So again, I think we've set the bar so low, every one of us. I know, with all due respect, Mr. Adesina is here, and we've been saying he's honest. Honesty is part of the requirement of a public servant. Trust drives everything. We're using credit card, we're using all these innovations from the Western world. Everything is based on trust. Everything is based on honesty. Everything is based on sincerity of purpose. So let's not set the bar low. Mr. Adesina is a public servant. What we expect of him is honesty, is sincerity when he addresses us, the public. So let's quit setting the bar low. Let's put the round pegs in the round hole, and we will start having that sense of even starting anything worthwhile. Thank you. Back to you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much for that. I'm sure Mr. Adesina has taken note of your question, your query. Dr. Chidi, you had a question because your hand was raised up.
Okay, I'm going to try. Mr. Galaxy Tab A, you see, we tried because of Mr. Atta to be very, very civil, okay? And we tried to guide our utterances. I am a sympathizer of, I'm actually a Biafran, I'm a sympathizer of IPOB and all of that. So for you to come here and begin to point arms and call names, if you want to talk about unknown gunmen, you would have to start telling me who the unknown soldiers that killed a lot of. I'm not a supporter of violence. The situation is already bad. All the policemen being killed, I don't rejoice over it. Military personnel, I don't rejoice over it. But something has led to the other, and now when there is a collapse, there is a collapse. It don't spoil. So we are here to talk about solution. If there was equity, if there was justice, let me tell you something. Nnamdi Kanu and the likes of him, like me, will never be agitating. Why are people agitating? And Mr. Adesina came here, and good for him. He set the tone right. Let me commend him, even if it's just for this one time in all my dealings with him. He set the tone right by saying, look, we've never had it this bad. So this is, I want to see solutions. That's why Atta brought us here. You may not like my solution. We may not like your solution, but I want us to leave here with direct, simple solutions. I said my own. It may or may not be, but let's talk solution. We go round and round and round and round. If you start this ESN IPOP thing, you may have to go back to Fela. Do you know why? Do you know how we came about unknown gunmen? It's because we don't even know the unknown soldier that killed Fela's wife. That's why we came up with unknown gunmen. So let's not go there. Let's talk solutions now.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Please, we have just like 8 minutes left. Please, if you want to ask a question, you're gonna have to make it just a minute. If not, I'll have to mute you. Obafemi Dada, please, your question, please.
Mine is not a question, but very quick one. Unfortunately, I think half of today has been about non-solution. I think, Mr. Adesina, I think is very important. You've mentioned a lot of things today, which the government is doing, which actually, I'm sure some people here are hearing for the first time. Security has been in the forefront. So I'm going to ask, is there a possibility for the government to set a tone of providing some good news in addition to the problems in Nigeria to give some hope? I think the reality is, as I said earlier on, the media is controlling the narrative. So I think the presidency, I think, is a little bit deaf tone in terms of trying to control the narrative. But the last bit for me, and people talk about security, the cost of security is an expensive subject. Long-term corruption means that we've not invested in security, including intelligence. So there's got to be something that we need to understand. You know, is there a place in it that will take all the security votes away from these governors who are obviously coming out in the media, they're not up to it, and put it back into the federal pot so that it can be used properly to deal with the issue? Thank you very much. I mean, everyone has done what they need to do today. I'm just being here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dada. Clement Jimbo, 1 minute, please.
Okay, thank you very much. A very quick one, just a follow-up. With respect to power, because that is a very deep concern to me and a lot of Nigerians. Mr. Femi Adesina, is it possible, I know power is an exclusive lift of the federal government, but is it possible, because you've talked about giving responsibility to state governors, is it possible for power to be given to state governors, not only to generate power, but also to transmit and to distribute? I give a particular instance in Akwa Ibom State, for example, where we have Ibom power plant. We generate about 191 megawatt of electricity, but we hardly see any of this power. We live in darkness. So I believe if this power is given to state governors to also transmit and distribute, citizens can hold some of these, our state governors, to responsibility to make this power available. Because each time you make a complaint, they tell you that it is not managed by them. They don't have the power, they don't have control over it. So just
okay. Thank you very much. ED1, 1 minute, please.
Okay. Thank you very much once again, Mr. Atta. Thank you very much once again, Mr. Adesina. I'll just go straight to the point. So I'm just wondering, Mr. Adesina, if or what specifically the government of Nigeria did when the news of the relocation of the headquarters of Twitter to Ghana was brought to your notice. I just wonder, like, what is there any one single action that our government has done to ensure that that does not happen again anytime soon? And then the next one again, quick one is, now considering the number of youth unemployment in the country, again, what wants, like, I mean, we've been hearing trader money and all sort of 5,000, 10,000 that's shared around. Well, we don't think, in my opinion, if you don't mind me actually saying, I don't think that is a very, very viable way of reducing poverty in a country like Nigeria. What is one specific clear-cut action, again, that we're doing to just ensure that these youth are, I mean, apart from all the initiatives that we know about, that we've heard about? And then may I also say that the provision of gas...
Please, you need to round up, please.
Yes, please. So the gas initiatives in Nigeria are, of course, are highly commendable and all that. But then we're talking about decarbonization, which is like a different scale. And the kind of gas that we'll be looking at in the near future will be hydrogen, in particular, as an example. So is there any plan for this? That is actually what I was asking. Thank you very much for your time. And thank you.
All right, thank you very much. The floor is yours, Mr. Adesina. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Let's try to give short answers. Mr. Imoyabong, talking about unknown government. I think that is just that is just a euphemism. The government are known. They are known. They are either IPOB or they are ESN. Apologies to Dr. Chidi. They are known. They are not unknown. It is people who want to talk tongue in cheek, who want to play politics with the issue and stay safe that are saying unknown government. They are ESN, members of ESN. Something happened in Olu yesterday. Gunmen were headed for Olu police station to attack the place, kill policemen and burn it down. They were intercepted through intelligence. 11 of them were taken out. They all happened to be members of ESN. And I mean, it's just been trying to be clever by half. They are known. They are known. And somebody talked about influx into Akwa Ibom. Influx into Akwa Ibom is simply because, eventually those agitating for Biafra will become landlocked if they get it. They will become landlocked. All the 5 eastern states have no access to the sea. They'll become landlocked.
Now we're getting political. I think additional, you're spoiled. We came here to give you a solution. Now you want to take. If that
listen, what is this guy talking about? What is he talking about?
When it comes to sharing the wealth, you don't talk about the East. What's that initiative you had in Abeokuta and in the North? Where is the one in the East?
Why is the one in the North?
Quiet, Adesina. Better keep quiet.
You are bringing
Femi Adesina.
If you want, you don't have solution.
It was because the overall solution was not given to him at the beginning. The solution should have been the government should be sacked. A government that has shown to be so incompetent should be sacked immediately. I think that should be
hold on. Those of you that are speaking now came in after. Please, we have some ground rules, all right?
Yes,
you don't speak while someone is on the floor, all right? Or I'm going to have to remove you. Please. As Mr. Adesina was responding to some questions, you must give him that respect, please. All right? The floor is yours, sir. Apologies.
Thank you. So, what I was trying to say is that you see that there is an attempt to make a foray into Akwa Ibom and into South states so that they can have access to the sea. It's political. It's political. But one way or the other, these issues will be resolved in Nigeria. It will be resolved. When you go to kill policemen, and most of those policemen are even indigenes of your states, how do you explain that? Okay, fine, let's go on. Mr. Daniel Fagbon says in terms of recruitment, we should not set the bar low. I agree with you completely. Completely. As a country, we must not set the bar low in leadership recruitment. If you set the bar low, you will get that kind of pedestrian leadership. I agree with you. Mr. Dada, good news to give hope to the people. Yes, you will see that despite insecurity, a lot is going on that is positive in Nigeria, particularly in infrastructure. Roads, rails, airports, bridges, all that, they are going on. And we keep writing and issuing releases on those ones. So, it is not only insecurity that is happening in Nigeria. A lot of positive things are also happening, and we don't keep quiet about them. You talked about security votes being returned into the federal purse. No, it doesn't happen. We are a federation. We are a federation. The federal government even has no power over security votes that the governors are collecting. We are a federation. And then Mr. Jimbo, power to state governors to generate and distribute. Very good, but it's a constitutional matter. It will have to, the constitution will have to be amended. Power is in the exclusive list for now. So it's a long process, but it may be something worthy. And then Mr. Edet, Twitter and Ghana is even a non-issue. It's even a non-issue. It is those who are like enemies of the country and who want to rejoice at anything they perceive as negative, who blew up that matter. If Twitter is in Benin Republic or is in Congo, does it matter? This is a non-issue to Nigerian government. And then the youths. Yes, government will always prioritize the welfare of the youths. Everything government does, in a way, redounds to the youths. When you fight corruption, you want to free resources to provide for the youths. When you secure the country, you want to give the youths a country they can call their own. When you revive the economy, it is so that the youth can be empowered. So everything government does, in one way or the other, redounds to the youth. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now with 6 o'clock now, and I'm so conscious of time.
Yes.
Now, I have Femi Adesina and Chris. I'm going to give you guys 1 minute each, so that you don't go on my wall and say, you invited me and you didn't allow me to talk, and then I start having a headache tonight. So please, Femi Adesina, 1 minute, and Chris, 1 minute. Thank you. Femi, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you very much, Nigerians. I just got on this platform. What I would just say actually is that what remains the issue is that there's a disconnect between the government and the people. There's a statistics that says that 3 out of 10 US citizens have trust in the government. So just look at what we have in Nigeria. If 3 out of 10 US citizens, I'm talking about a country where there is social security and all of that, have trust in the government, then let's just imagine what the statistics would look like in Nigeria, especially with a recent case where you have a sympathizer of terrorists being in charge of cyber security. These things.
Please go straight to your point. Please go straight to your point.
That's what I'm trying to say. That's my point. Because most times when we talk about security, we only look at the physical, security. There is cyber security, there is food security, there's economic security, there's social security. So what I'm just saying, which is the solution here, is that there is distrust between the citizens and government. And until you try to bring that trust together by making sure that the youths are part of governance, are part of the governance structure, that everybody, the rights of people to hold dissents, the rights to disagree, all these rights are respected. Until we have that, there is no solution to all of these problems. We will keep having, because when there's no trust, there will never be peace.
Thank you very much. That's why we're here, and Mr. Femi Adesina has made himself come here. Chris, please, 1 minute, please. We can't hear you, Chris.
Okay, sorry. What I was just trying to say, in terms of the security, if you just talk about security, I was just wondering what the federal government has made in terms of involving the local communities, because whether it's IPOB or ESN, or you go to the north, whoever is causing problem there. What has the government done in terms of bringing the communities together? Because we are talking of, at times I hear them talk about the fact that they are not getting enough information from the local community, or that they are not communicating with them. It's when you involve these people, when they report to you that something has happened and they see you move forward to arrest the situation rather than arresting somebody who has made a report to you. What is the government's effort to bring together the local community, the chief, the emirs, and so on and so forth?
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Adesina, the floor is yours. Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Yes. If I can start from what Mr. Chris said, bringing the communities together will not be the duty of the federal government. That will be government at the local level, starting from local government to state government. Federal government is too far away than to come and do that. And we are a federation. So it has to be done at the local government and at the state levels, not federal government. Then, Mr. Adesina, trust in government. Well, it is relative, because I do not think we have done a scientific study to show the number of people that still have trust in government and those that don't. The only thing we can use will be our elections. And we know that in 2015, President Buhari scored about 13 million votes. And in 2019, he scored 15 million votes. So it shows that the trust level in him went up in 2019 opposed to 2015. There is no other scientific study. Unless you have a scientific study, you cannot conclude about that. Then you talked about right to dissent, right to disagree. I don't see that right being stifled in Nigeria. That right is well and alive. In fact, I dare say too much alive in the country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Femi Adesina. This was a forum, and this was a meeting for us to come up with solutions. And I think we've tried. I mean, we've tried. Obviously, being a people that we love to complain. I think we complained a little bit, but I think we've tried. I mean, earlier on we came up with a lot of creative ideas. I just want to say that the only thing we've been able to do tonight is Mr. Femi Adesina has promised to speak to the Minister of, I think, Youth and Employment. Is that what?
Yes.
Yeah. To adopt the idea of Mr. Jimbo. So that's the only thing we've been able to achieve today, which is good. But I would also add, sir, just something quickly. Other question I wanted to ask, but because of time I cannot. Please, sir. Inyobo Umore was murdered some days ago. The building where she was murdered has not been cordoned off by the police. People are moving in and out of that building. There are mass graves behind that building. There are uniforms and shoes of all the people that were murdered there, certificates, things that we could use to indict the people that have actually murdered the people in that building. The Akwa Ibom State Police Force has not cordoned off that building. Okay, sir. Please, sir, can you just help us so that you can get in touch with the police and with the IG and have that sorted out so that we have that whole building cordoned off. Mr. Femi Adesina, thank you so much for this meeting. We're going to have another one, and I hope, obviously, we'll have more time. But thank you so much. Thank you to all the participants. Sorry if I could not take your questions, but you can see he's a man under authority. Maybe the president has called him and he needs to run off. Mr. Femi Adesina, thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for coming to us. And we have left with something tonight. Thank you, everybody, and God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll invite you to my show.
Thank you, Mr. Femi
Pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you, Ata.
Okay.
for coming.
Okay.
So,
Thank you,
Mr.
Ata. Endeavor to give us
just,
more of these sessions.
Okay, Mr. Adesina can leave, can go. We can just say another
Mr. Adesina
10 minutes. Yeah, another 10 minutes. Please,
Yes.
I know I couldn't take all the questions. Mr. Nate Barrister, Nate Jackson, there's a question you wanted to ask. I'm sorry that Mr. Adesina has left. Yeah, please, your question, sir.
Thank you, Ata.
Yes.
I know that you can relay this to him.
Yes, sir.
My question had to do with this. Would he subscribe to a constitutional conference now in Nigeria to look at most of these critical issues, almost dragging Nigeria to the grave? He started by saying the scenarios are bad. Nigeria is in an emergency. He said the obvious truth. Will he subscribe? Can he persuade the president of Nigeria, the presidency, to see the need to hold a constitutional conference to address these issues? That's number one.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, go on. Because he has actually answered that question. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Number two.
And what should we do?
When talking about Buhari, I know that in our local parlance, they say the fish spoils from the head. Yes, he is the head of government, the commander-in-chief. But I rarely hear about our people talking about our governors. It is not Buhari that is the governor of Akwa Ibom State. It is not Buhari that that is the governor of Adamawa State. It is not Buhari that is the governor of Imo State. In all the states of Nigeria, we have governors. Are our governors charging the common good? If we as Nigerians start from the grassroots, and the only grassroots we know is state governance. As for the local government administration, we are still waiting the local government to have full autonomy. So we are busy accusing the presidency, accusing Buhari. Yes, I know there are constitutional privileges and rights which the president should concede to the people. Not start from his regime. These things have. We have presently governors of states. What are governors of states doing to tidy up issues regarding unemployment, regarding insecurity, and all that? For instance,
sorry, hold on. Please, there's someone's phone or laptop that has not been muted. Please, there's a lot of interference. Please, can you mute your device? Thank you. Barrister, over to you.
At the wake of Inyabong's gruesome murder, I wrote something on Facebook. It was that yes, Inyabong was murdered by one idiot, but she was killed by many. Who were the many that killed her? Who and who killed Inyabong? And I was saying, those have access to government funds, yet are not making use of it. Those who confiscate community project funds, those who don't allow job vacancies to get to the roots where the people are, the grassroots where the people are. We are the ones that killed her because jobs are hoarded at all levels, from the federal to the state to local governments. We killed her. She didn't die because she died for the sake of it. She died looking for a job. And we all know the social media people have done so much to write about this. It is not only in Akwa Ibom. All over Nigeria, most of our young people, both men and women, boys and girls, they are walking corpses. They are just waiting for the agent of death, one way or another, to take them home. And they die, just like Inyabong died. So the governors should do something.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, please.
Thank you so much, Barrister. Barrister, he actually answered a lot of those questions that you're bringing up. He actually said that the governors should work harder, that they are not working. He actually said it. And it's in a federation, there's little or nothing the central government can do if governors decide not to do anything. It's the people now that have to put pressure on their governors to work and to do what is required of them. Regarding the comfort, what he said was that we have always been talking, and I completely agree with him. We are a nation that we talk and talk and talk. And in Nigeria, I've never seen any country that has so many conferences and seminars in Nigeria. I mean, conferences, and that's why I said today we need to come out with something. All right, and I'm so happy that at least today, Femi Adesina has promised that he's going to discuss with the Minister of Youth and Employment, is that what it's called, so that we can have a national database of job vacancies, so that someone like Inyabong does not have to go on Twitter or on Facebook and ask for a job, and some fake person comes up with a job that obviously we know is not real. So he didn't answer those questions, but yes, please. I said we just have 10 more minutes. We've used up 5 minutes. Chris, I'm ready to take your question. Go on, Chris. Sorry, I didn't see your hand.
Okay. No, what I was just trying to say was okay, if the gentleman just talked about state governors, but remember, the state governors, every month they go to Abuja to collect their whatever, their allowance. So that tells you they depend on the federal government. It's because of the system we are running anyway. We say we are running, is it federalism or what do you call it? But that's not how it's run. We copied it from other we copied it from the US. And look at how they run their own. The states are independent of the federal government. In Nigeria, we are dependent on the federal government. And too much power is arrogated to the central government. That's the problem we have in Nigeria. And it is because of the way our constitution is screwed. So imagine something happens in Benue State. The governor has to ring Abuja, please, I need policemen. If they decide not to send policemen, that's what happens. His people are killed. And you now go back and say, you blame the state governor. He has no power to do anything. So there are certain things that the state government should have. Yes, they get that money from I agree with you. One hand, we should question our state governors. What have they done with the money the federal government is giving them? But their power is also limited to some of the things they have to do with that money. We talk in terms of employment. They cannot generate certain things. The other young man talked about generation of electricity, and after generating the electricity in their state, they don't even use it. That's federal government. What would the state government do? The state governor do for that? So, the constitution is so screwed in such a way that the powers of our state governors are limited. We have to revisit that. And I know there have been several seminars and nothing has come out of this. So it's just...
So, okay. All right. We get your point, but that is what we've been talking about restructuring. And that is a conversation that hasn't just started now. It's been going on for years. Yeah. And I think it is a conversation we are going to keep having. And I think next time we have a meeting with Mr. Femi Adesina, we are going to bring that up. I also wanted to ask him questions about state police, why the government has not adopted state police, and even the issue of mercenaries. Yeah. Regina Askia wanted me to ask that question. So we still have time to ask all those questions. Mr. Regina Askia, please, the floor is yours.
Miss Regina Askia Williams. Okay, so I have been waiting to ask. I can't believe that Mr. Femi Adesina came here and left without us extracting a promise from him to get the presidency to do an immediate edit to contain the security situation. The president can order mercenaries to go into different communities and different villages and ensure that the people are safe. What is stopping Nigeria from doing that? It's apparent that they are unable to contain the situation. So why are they not doing that? That is one promise we should have exacted from him. And that was the one question I wanted to ask him before you refused to pay for extra time for us to ask Mr. Adesina about security. So I think that you should send him this message and tell him to at least hire mercenaries or do something to get an immediate edit from the president to establish security structures to protect life and property. This is too much. We'll sit down here and talk about electricity, education. This is too much. This is an immediate problem. People are getting slaughtered. This is too much. That should be our first consideration before any other thing.
Thank you so much, Regina Askia. I can tell you that if we had asked him that question, that is a question that is over and above his head. That is a question that he would,
his boss.
He would have put in the hands of the chief of staff. But yes, I will ask him that question, and I think it's something we can ask him the next time he comes to our forum. Dr. Chidi, the floor is yours, sir.
First of all, I must apologize, but at least most of the times I contain myself. I must apologize for when I barged in. That is not what I plan to do. So once again, my apologies. But I must sincerely, you know me very well. I must commend you for, I know you have a relationship with Adesina, and I don't that is a relationship that you don't just spoil like that, not because he is advisor to the president, but I know what it takes to even drag him from his schedule to come here. So I was trying to balance that, and for you to have actually put that relationship on the line, that says a lot about you, and I must commend you. Really very grateful that you were willing to see. You're a different Nigerian. A lot of Nigerians they will just keep him to themselves and be so they won't even let him out like this. So thank you for doing that. Now
I appreciate it. Thank you.
When Regina is talking about mercenaries and there was something else we talked about, it is not possible for the government now to engage in what kind of mercenaries are you talking about? Do you know how many thousands of people are right here in Nigeria? The Boko Haram we're talking about, they're already mercenaries from outside. The Fulani headsmen, they're mercenaries from outside. And the government already has these people inside. This is the one that came in on their own. Go and I can send you 2 videos of where. Did you see America's last comment that they cannot come and work with the Nigerian military because they don't trust our military? They know us. They see everything that we say we don't see. They have satellites over us. They see when the kids are kidnapped. They see the kids being taken. They send this intelligence to our government. That's the funny thing. So the government knows. It's just that whether somebody wants to accept it or not, there is a deliberate unwillingness from the government to do what they are supposed to do. They know. There was a security contractor who talked about he is still puzzled why, when they had the opportunity to finish Boko Haram, they were called back. Do you forget when our forces were close to Boko Haram and they said, we just need a permission to go in and finish, and they were withdrawn, and on their way back, they were ambushed. So it is, and the reason, and I'll say this and I'll end, whether you want to believe it or not, it is because the government is tied to the Fulani agenda. It is because it is their people that we are rejoicing that 8 or so people that went and killed the police were killed and brought out. Why are they not going and killing Fulani headsmen and bringing them out like that? In my village, we caught 2 Fulani headsmen that nearly killed a man. I pay from here. I'm part of the people that pay for the vigilante in my village. When we caught them, the head of the vigilante came and announced in the WhatsApp forum. We're all very happy. Do you know what happened? 2 hours later, he came to the forum and he chatted. He said there was an order from above that those people should be released. So who is pulling who?
Okay, Mr. Dr. Chidi, thank you very much for that very passionate delivery over our security. Dear people, the reason why we're here is because it's not because we can't do any other thing. I mean, there's a match going on today, Chelsea, Man U, and but you know, here we all are because we're concerned about Nigeria.
Chelsea, Man City.
Oh God.
Let me close by saying this. One thing is very clear, and this is my take home tonight. Even the people in the presidency know there's an emergency. Mm-hmm. So at least we've heard that. And all throughout what Mr. Femi Adesina was saying, and I must commend him for that, even though there was someone, Daniel Fagmo, who said, look, no, we don't need you to tell us that. What we need you to tell us is what are you doing about it? But the fact is, he came today, he came to us, and he said, look, there is an emergency, and we need to act as if there's an emergency. So from the federal level, they know there's an emergency. But the question is, at the state level, are the governors acting as if there's an emergency? And the answer is a big no. At the federal level, I can tell you that at the federal level, that the president is receiving security briefings. At the federal level, I can tell you from what I know, so, there are things I can't discuss with you, but I know that at the federal level, they are very concerned about what's, and I was surprised that Femi Adesina actually came up and said there's an emergency. I thought that's a word he won't even use. So they are conscious. But can your state governor tell you that there's an emergency in his state? Let's be honest with ourselves. Can any state governor, apart from the guy in Niger State that said Boko Haram has installed a flag in his state, can any state governor now tell you Nigeria is in a state of emergency? Yes, they'll say the federal government, but they're not going to talk about his state. And we ask ourselves, what is it that makes up the federal? When we talk about Nigeria, what makes up Nigeria? It's the states that make up Nigeria. The federal government only has that little piece of land called Abuja. But every other piece of land is controlled by a governor. Are they acting as if there is a state of emergency? No, they're not. So I think the next time we have this discussion, what we're going to do is try and see how we can bring our governors, because I know they have discussions with the president, all right? But why did they go back? Like someone said here, all they are concerned about is go, end of every month, take their largesse, go back to the state and share. Yet, the country is in an emergency. Two things we have left with tonight, is Mr. Femi Adesina is going to discuss with the Minister for Employment. I think, who is it? That's, what's the name of the gentleman? That Igbo chap. What's the name of that minister?
Ngige.
Ngige, yes. He's going to speak to Ngige, all right? So we've left with that, and hopefully they'll come up with a site that they would congregate jobs in Nigeria, so that we don't have this, the sort of thing we're having now, where young people are going to fake sites. The next thing he promised us doing is to cordon the building where this girl was murdered. I mean, I was so ashamed of Nigeria. BBC reporter was just going around that building, no police, nothing, went into where they had the open graves, the mass graves, shoes, certificates around. And I was like, this would never happen in any country. Honestly, you need to watch that film. It's So, gentlemen, I know a lot of you have questions. Some of you might leave this place not satisfied. But I think we've started a journey. And I believe that we can get something out from. You see, this is why engagement is good. Because when you engage with someone like Femi Adesina, you know that at his level, even though he's just a spokesperson, at least at his level, he can do something. And I'm so happy that a lot of you came with solutions, and that my iPod, my IPOB friend with his Ojuku beard, was able to put his point across. And even though I know it was very difficult, because there are very emotive issues in the Southeast, we all know. But thank you very much, Dr. Chidi, for controlling yourself, and to everybody that was able to make it at this meeting. So I hope next month we're going to have another meeting like this. Some of you had this short notice because I was only able to arrange this week. Next time you'll have like a week's notice. Thank you so much, and let us pray, and let us believe in a one united Nigeria. I know some of us may not agree with it, but let us believe in a one. Let us believe in a one.
Sorry, I'm not cutting you short, but this one thing I want to clarify. See, I belong with the Revolution Now movement, and I am a Biafran. That's what I want people to understand clearly. If you are able to come up with a solution that will make Nigeria work, fine. But at this point in time, I am just a believer that we have gone beyond that. I just wanted to put that out.
Okay. Let us pray for Nigeria and believe that Nigeria will march on and will be one. Disintegration, no. not after that civil war. Disintegration will turn Nigeria into a place worse than Syria or Iraq, and none of us want that. Thank you so much, Jen.
Sorry, I thought if it is
Chris, I have to end, please.
If it's well managed, I don't think so. But we believe in one Nigeria. I do, but things have to be worked out. You know, a situation where the part of the country is crying, the head of the nation should listen to them. If they called IPOB like they call those guys from the southern part, call them. What is your problem? You know, I think that's my belief. That's how a father of the nation work. Call the people.
Okay.
What is your problem? Listen to them. Then there's no way solution cannot be found. But you know, someone is crying, you send more fire. Go and kill them.
All right. Okay. Well, we have started as a first step here. The spokesperson was here.
Great. I must thank you. You know, even we do converse. I do criticize you at times, but this one, man, I doff my hat to you.
I criticize him a lot. You can't believe how much I criticize him. But
you know,
I appreciate it. Thank you, gentlemen. So at least we started. That's the first step. The first step is his spokesperson was here. So maybe with his spokesperson here, because I actually let me just tell you guys what I was requesting from Femi Adesina this week was the president will come on a Zoom meeting. That's what I said to him.
Oh yes, of course. I like that.
Yes. I told him. I said, can we have a Zoom meeting with Mr. President? And he listened for a while. He said, okay, Mr. Ikide, not now. I said, okay, so we can have a Zoom meeting with you before Mr. President. So hopefully one day we're going to have a Zoom meeting with Mr. President.
An honest Zoom. Yes,
there's nothing like engagement. You know, just the fact that you can even listen to what people have to say is an act of respect to the people you're governing. So thank you so much. God bless you guys, and I hope to see you.
Thank you for having us.
God bless you. God bless you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Atta.
Thank you. God bless you. Bye-bye. Thank you, Barry.
Regina, I'm not a mercenary, Regina. I don't know why you keep calling me a mercenary.
Thank you, Chidi. Thank you, Chidi.
Okay, bye-bye.